in Michigan, this is actually a crazy story. So 5 out of 10 of the Republican gubernatorial candidates who were vying in a primary to try to take on Gretchen Whitmer have now been suggested for disqualification because they turned in thousands of fraudulent signatures in order to get on the ballot. Let's take a look at this tear sheet. This is from local news. They say massive signature fraud scandal upends Michigan GOP gubernatorial race. The State Bureau of Elections has recommended that 5 of the 10 Republican candidates hoping to oust Democratic Governor Gretchen Whitmer should be kicked off the ballot prior to the August 2nd primary due to tens of thousands of forged signatures. The Michigan Board of State Canvassers, which is evenly divided between Dems and Republicans, is set to meet and take up those recommendations. It wasn't just the gubernatorial candidates, though. There were also some down-ballot candidates for circuit judges, district judges, and congressional races that also had these fraudulent signatures. What appears to have happened, Saagar, is that they all, I think, used the same
service
that were apparently not just fraudsters, but really bad at it.
Right.
Go ahead and put this up on the screen. I don't know if you can see these signatures. They're on the right, but they're like really obviously forged, where the handwriting all looks the same, the signatures all look the same.
There's like spaces of the ink.
Right, they sort of like rotate through these ink colors to try to make it look like they're different signatures. It was just very obvious fraud. And, you know, in a way, these candidates, they're trying to say, oh, we're the victims here. But it's your basic job to make sure that you're actually getting the signatures, that the signatures are legit. And this isn't just like the random no-name candidates in this race. This is some of the top contenders in the primary who are now in danger of being removed. One of them in particular, his last name is Craig, I can't remember his first name. He was widely seen as the odds-on favorite to win the nomination. They found that he had turned in over 11,000 invalid signatures, including nearly 10,000 from fraudulent petition circulators. And less than half of his 21,000 plus signatures were facially valid, leaving him well short of the 15,000 signatures needed to make the ballot. There was another candidate, one candidate just dropped out altogether. Looking at the circumstances, State Police Chief Michael Brown just dropped out of the race, even without having officially been removed. So it's pretty wild. And of course, you know, I mean, it is a little bit ironic that, of course, Michigan was one of the states where there was a big fuss raised about the sanctity of elections and these Democrats trying to
Well, they got what they wanted.
And all of that. Yeah. And, you know, the laws are being enforced on their asses this time.
They got what they wanted. They have the most stringent, I just looked it up, they have the most stringent signature laws in the entire country.
Oh, that's fine.
So, okay, all right, you have your secure elections, and now you can't run.
Now you can't.
So this has not happened since 2012, since a Republican from Livonia had to drop out after it was discovered that 4 members of his staff filed fraudulent signatures, also in Ottawa County, a judicial person. But it looks like it's been a decade since this actually happened in the state of Michigan. And like you said, they were working with a ring of what the press in Michigan is calling unscrupulous signature gatherers. So it's kind of a fascinating part, I think, of the election process. You know, people, I don't know if they know this, but Barack Obama won his, I think it was a state Senate race, or maybe it was his Senate race. His initial primary, whichever one it actually was, won based upon challenging the signatures, actually, of his opponent. So this is a long-standing kind of tradition. His consultant at the time was like, there's no way that that person got that amount of signatures in time. Let's go through and look at it. And he was like, I don't want to win this way. And they were like, this is the only way. And he's like, okay, let's win this way, which is classic Obama.
Interesting.
Well, that's how he writes it in his biography. You can decide exactly which way it goes. But look, I think it's a totally legitimate thing. And really what it shows you is that, you know, this is going to upend the race dramatically. Michigan was a very likely pickup for the Republicans. I mean, Whitmer, you know, she was popular during the pandemic, but then also, you know, clearly things took a turn. There's some stuff going on with her husband and exactly lockdown procedure. And then, you know, she really dropped in national consciousness.
Every swing state Democrat.
Right, exactly. Everybody is very, in Michigan, I mean, Trump only lost Michigan, but it wasn't that close. I mean, he won it very close the first time and then also lost it very close the second time, which was not expected whatsoever ahead in terms of the polling. So given the national environment, this should have been a relatively easy pickup for the GOP. And I just think I enjoy the hypocrisy of whenever these things happen. When McCormick is like, no, now we need to count undated mail-in ballots, which we said were the reason the whole election was stolen. It's like when their asses are on the line, then they don't care. Then they want the loosest election law interpretation possible, which is just so perfect.
Very true, very true. So it'll be interesting. We'll keep track of that one and see if they're saved by this state board of canvassers, if they allow them to stay on the ballot. But I mean, the rule is the rule, right? Yep. I mean, you either have the number of signatures and they're legitimate, or you don't. And yeah, it sucks you got taken in by like a shitty fraudster who didn't even do a good job at forging the signatures. It also does make you wonder like how often this happens, and they just got like—
Oh, I'm sure it happens all the time.
And they just got like someone who was incompetent.
When you ran for office, how did you do it? Did you have to like hire somebody?
In Virginia, at least at the time, we didn't hire anybody. It was just, there was a fairly low number that you had to get. And so, I mean, we and our campaign team went out and gathered them. That's what technically you're really supposed to do. But
it's part of the process. Like, why can't you just run for office?
I don't mind it, because it at least shows some level of commitment, organization.
Is that why they put it in place?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's the idea, is like show that you're actually gonna, you know, puts a little bit of a threshold that's achievable.
I see.
And it shouldn't be some crazy number. Like, this is a fairly large number of signatures you have to get. To me, it shouldn't be some crazy number, but to have to go out in the community and actually gather signatures, I don't know. I don't have a big problem with that.
Yeah, I guess if you didn't have these laws, then ballots would just be overwhelmed with like a bunch of randos who just want to run but don't actually. Yeah, all right, makes sense now.
Yeah.
I think I get it.
Cable news is ripping us apart, dividing the country, making it impossible to function as a society, and making it impossible to know just what is true and what is false. But the good news is they are failing and they know it.
That is why we're building something new, a new mainstream, a healthier one, something more trustworthy, something that we are going to need in one of the most pivotal times in American history. We are building up here for the midterms, for the upcoming presidential election, but we need your help. So if you can help us out by becoming a premium member today at breakingpoints.com, we're trying to change America for the better and the entire world.
So what are you waiting for, guys? Go to breakingpoints.com and sign up and help us build a new mainstream.